morning. Hope y'all are having a beautiful Mother's Day weekend. All right, today we are going to talk about the prodigal son. We're going to continue our series on manifesting. The prodigal son is a very, very powerful metaphysical story in scripture that teaches us about how to get the things that we want, get the things that we actually deserve. What the prodigal son is about, it is about a son who wanders from his father. You can read the Bible as literally as you want, but we're going to look at this very metaphorically. It is about a son who wanders from his father, representing us descending, our soul's journey of descending into the world of illusions, and then constantly trying to find our own worth by ourselves, create our life by ourselves, and fall short. And it's only through returning to the remembrance of who we are, returning to our I am awareness, that allows us to take control of our life. So the title of today's discussion is The Return of the Prodigal Son, Manifesting Through Remembrance. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the prodigal son and the power of manifestation, returning to the kingdom within. Okay. So Luke 15:11 through 32. I'm gonna give a summary of the story. We're gonna look at it at a high level. When I'm reading through this summary, I really want you to see what sticks out to you in terms of how you've been living your life, how you've been trying to control circumstances, look at the external environment, and then also how you see your own worthiness. This story should allow certain things to click. That's okay. Why am I doing it? Why am I trying to do this all by myself? Okay. So we'll go through the story in a literal sense, and then we will break it down in the metaphysical sense. All right. So as spoken by Jesus, representing your I am awareness. Okay, Luke 15:11 through 32. So a certain man had two sons, and the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me." The father grants the request, and the younger son departs to a distant land, where he wastes his inheritance in reckless living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Okay. Reduced to feeding pigs and longing to eat their food, he comes to a moment of deep realization and says, "How many hired servants of my father have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger?" Okay. So even just breaking down this first paragraph, right? So this father has two sons. The one son stays, one son leaves. The son that leaves immediately looks to his father. "Give me what is owed to me. Give me my portion so I can go out and do this by myself. Okay, give me my portion. I'm going to go descend into this third dimensional reality." They descend, they go through life, right? And they start to live reckless. They start to be controlled by everything that they see in that external reality. Okay. And so when we have spent everything that we can, when we have kind of tried to exercise our will on the world to the best of our abilities, right? And we find ourselves in this low place. As you see, he was reduced to feeding pigs and longing to eat their food. He came to this moment of realization. It's often in the darkness. We always talk about the darkness giving you clarity. It's these times where we're in heartbreak, the times where we're in lack, right? This is often where we get clarity. The only purpose of these situations is to give us more clarity on what we want, especially when we're trying to do things by ourselves. So we get this clarity of what we really want. And then we are forced to surrender. We're forced to turn back to our I am awareness, forced to turn back to the God within ourselves. Okay. So he comes to this realization. He says, okay, how many hired servants of my father have bread enough and to spare? The father representing your I am awareness. The father actually representing the God within you. So the son is looking around and saying, "Man, bruh, my father's servants have bread enough to spare. And I'm out here struggling. I'm out here feeding the pigs, and I'm looking at them like, damn, bro, I want some of their food." Okay, so we get to these low points in our life where we looking around like, bruh, I cannot do this alone. Like my father, right? All these people that are following him, that are working for him, and I'm his son. They're just his servants. They have enough to spare. Okay, so next paragraph. In humility and repentance, he resolves to return home, saying, "I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee." And while he is still a great way off, while he is still a great way off. His father sees him and runs to embrace him. Overcome with love, the father orders, bring forth the best robe. Okay? The robe representing your anointing. The robe representing that you are the son of the Most High. Okay? Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand. What does the ring represent? Authority. You have to be in high status to wear a ring. Okay? And put shoes on his feet. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. A feast is prepared in celebration, and joy fills the house at the son's return. Okay, cool. So let's think about this. Okay? Now, what are we always told that we have to have whenever we try to return to the God within us? We have to be worthy. To get what you want, you have to be worthy. Okay, what does that mean? Let's break down what this is saying. So in humility and repentance, the prodigal son resolves to return home, saying, okay, I'm going to rise and go to my father. And I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. What I really should have put in here as well is he said, you know what? I will resolve just to being your servant. I'll be okay with just being a servant. I know I'm your son, but I'll just be your servant. This is the mindset that we typically have when we try to return to the God within us. Okay, is that we're like, man, I've been doing all this by myself. I've been doing wrong. Do I actually deserve to be forgiven? But then what happens on the way there? Okay, on the way there, but while he is still a great way off, we think of this from a very physical perspective. So I'm challenging you, right? You're thinking of it from a physical perspective, or we all are, where, okay, I'm walking back to the house of my father. And I'm trying to get him to forgive me, right? And while I'm still a great way off, what does this represent? Not just a great way off in distance from the house, but you still feel unworthy. You still feel like, oh, I need to heal to be worthy. You still feel like I have to do all this work and ascend and be walking the righteous path to be worthy. But that's not the case at all. The moment your awareness shifts to I am God, God is within me, this is the moment that you become worthy. So even though the ego may fight, your feelings, all your beliefs may fight against this and say, okay, I'm not worthy yet. The God within you sees that you're worthy. And the moment you turn your awareness back to your I am awareness, back to the God within you, back to your higher self, back to the divine, back to your divinity, boom, you're automatically worthy. So you're automatically being brought back to this house. So there's only really two paths that you can walk. There's a path of the world, which is the path of everything. Then there's a path of just awareness of who you are. This is the key lesson that I really want to focus on today, is that it is not about alignment. Alignment implies that you have work to do. Alignment implies that until I can get this thing, I have to do work. It's not about healing. Healing implies some future that never exists. The more that you try to heal, the more you will find things to heal. It is about awareness of your divinity. The awareness of your divinity is where your power lies. When I talk about your perception, your perspective being your weapon, being your sword, the sword of God is your perception. It's your ability to look out and have the awareness that you are a child of the Most High. Doesn't matter. You've been a prodigal son for so long. Your whole entire life, the past 10 years, 15 years, whatever, you have been out wandering in the world trying to do it yourself. Then you come into the spiritual path and you have your awareness woken up that, okay, God is within me. The moment that you step into that awareness, your power is turned on. Okay, so it's not about alignment. It's not about healing. It's not about reprogramming your subconscious mind. Even that implies some distant future. I have to continuously work to get worthy. Right? We are a people that has been brainwashed to think that our salvation is always in the future. Until you are dipped in the pool and baptized, until you repent, until you begin tithing, until you begin walking this way, until you've healed all your childhood trauma, until this, until that. No. Right now is where your power is. If you are aware that you are the son, that you are the daughter, that you are a god, that you are a goddess, when you step into that awareness, truly, with spiritual backbone, okay, When you drop your balls and really believe this, this is where your power is, okay? Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatever you ask in the Father's name. The Father's name is your I am awareness. You are aware that you are God. Now, I always say that God is within you. And so when you are imagining things, when you are desiring things, this is God desiring it through you. I want to break it down on a different level, okay? I want to get a little bit deeper into that. I want to go back to, because I've been drilling this over and over, right? Let's talk about this from an even simpler perspective. How can God within you, how can your desires be God desiring it through you? Okay. Well, what that truly means is that you are God. It is that your imagination is God. This is what these spiritual teachers like Neville Goddard were referring to when they say, okay, well, your imagination is God. If you think of Jesus, if you think of God, and you immediately start thinking of something outside of you, okay, well, then you are missing the mark. You immediately start thinking of some being outside of you, right, that is coming down to save you. You're immediately missing the mark. When you come into the inner knowing that when you reference God, when you call upon God, you are calling on your own imagination, on your own mind. Now you are in a better place to actually get what you want. Okay, so verily, verily, I say unto you, whatever you ask in the Father's name is I am. When the Most High showed up to Moses, he showed up as the burning bush. Moses said, who are you? What's your name? I am that I am. What does that mean? I am whatever. I am everything. I am whatever you want it to mean. Whatever you declare, I am that. So we often hear people say, okay, well, if you want to declare something, you declare it in the present tense. That's why we say I am. Sure. There's only a present moment. I'm here to say, you saying I am, you saying I have, you saying I desire, you say I want is all the same. Your imagination, the moment that you have a desire in your imagination, to desire literally means to have. To have literally means to be. To be literally means that you are. All of these things are the same. Don't get caught up in this confusion of, okay, I have versus I am, or semantics and whatever. Whatever you declare in the Father's name, okay, the God within you, if they are desiring something, if God within you is desiring something, it comes up as your imagination. The same way that Moses imagined this burning bush. Some people, some scholars say that there is some plant, right? It's a psychoactive plant out there that when lit on fire, it can induce hallucinations, and that is their excuse for why this Moses character in this certain time could have had these hallucinations. That's if you believe that the Bible is a physical book. It's a book of history. All right. Okay. So that's one explanation. But other than that, your imagination is God speaking to you. Your imagination is actually you directing God. So the moment that you have an imaginary act that you want, that's God desiring it through you. The moment you have one that you don't want, that's God not desiring it through you. But if you focus it, if you focus your God power there, it will be made manifest. So whatever you ask in the Father's name shall be given up to you. Until now, you have asked nothing. Okay? Hitherto, you have asked nothing. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter what you've asked in the past. It only matters what you are aware of being right now. So we see the prodigal son. Okay, the prodigal son wandered off. He went into the world. He tried to do his own thing. He was trying to control all the world, but he couldn't do it. So he finally started to come back to his father. The moment he had the awareness, even though he said, okay, I'm not worthy, but I'm going to go back to my father. The moment he started that journey, the moment he stepped, his father saw him while he was still a great way off. His father saw him while he was still a great way off, and his father sees him and runs to embrace him. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter that you feel you are unworthy. It doesn't matter that you think you don't deserve it. The moment that you have the awareness of who you are, I am a son of God. I am a daughter of the Most High. The moment you have that awareness, you are stepping in your power, and the Most High is coming to embrace you fully. This is manifestation. It's not techniques. You are the technique. You are the power. Your visualization is just you utilizing your God-given power, pointing the God within you to what you want. And the moment you desire it, you can say thank you, because the greater part of you, which is your I am awareness, goes immediately to make it happen. Me and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. This is what that means. You and God are one, but God is greater than you. So literally you can have an imaginal act. You can have a desire and immediately say thank you, because it's God desiring it through you, and allow that greater part of you to go take care of it. And then, yeah, you can do all the work that you want to try to feel worthy and all this, but you are worthy as long as you are aware that you are divine. That is where your power is. Your power is not in the techniques. Your power is not in healing the childhood wounds. Your power is not in reprogramming your subconscious mind. This is a never-ending journey. If you believe that you will not step into your power until you've healed your childhood wounds and healed your old relationship trauma and gotten over your exes and healed your avoidant attachment, if you believe that you will not be worthy until you get those things, you will always be on a journey of seeking. You will never be able to receive. Okay? You do those things to be a better person, but your worthiness is just in the awareness that you are God. Stop outsourcing. Stop outsourcing your power to a future that doesn't even exist. The future is just something in your mind where you say that you're going to be healed and you don't even tangibly know what that healed means. Describe healed, define healed, tangibly define healed. What does it mean? Tangibly define, I'm in alignment. What does that mean? What does it truly mean? I'm in alignment with my desires. No. You're just aware of the God within you, which automatically makes you in alignment. It's not something that you have to work for. It's not something that you become worthy for. It's not something that you heal for. Okay? So the prodigal son is giving us a master class in this. Now you can read the Bible like some historian. Like Jesus just randomly told this story of this prodigal son, right? But this is a metaphor for how you should act. This is a master class in how your Father treats you. Okay? So, next part. All right, so a feast is prepared in celebration, and joy fills the house at the son's return. A feast is prepared. The moment you are aware that you are God, boom, a feast is prepared. All that you want is being prepared for you the moment that you come into the awareness that I am God. Okay? Next part. Yet the older brother tends to always represent like the ego. Even when we think of the story of like Esau and Jacob, which we're going to break down probably tomorrow or maybe tonight. Okay? But the older brother in this story, in the story of the prodigal son who never left, becomes angry and refuses to join the feast, saying, hold up. These many years, all of these years, I have served you. And yet you never gave me a, hold up. Okay, lo, these many years do I serve thee, and thou never gavest me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. You never celebrated me. All these years I've been faithful to you. Surely I deserve more because I've been faithful longer. Okay, the father gently reminds him, son, thou art ever with me. You've always been with me, and all that I have is yours. Your I am awareness does not seek. You're not more aligned than the next person because you've been doing this longer, because you think you're more spiritually solid than the next person. You don't deserve more than them. The kingdom of God is infinite prosperity. It's divine, infinite abundance to everyone equally. The moment that you come into awareness, you begin to take what you deserve, your rightful part of this feast. Right? Being Christian doesn't make you holier than thou. Being in this spiritual practice doesn't make you holier than thou. Because you've been walking the path doesn't make you holier than thou. Because you've been healing your wounds for 5-10 years doesn't make you holier than the next person. Okay? The moment you shift your awareness to who you are, to I am God, is the moment that you are deserving of everything. Okay? This is all this is saying. Son, thou art ever with me. and all that I have is thine. This final exchange reveals the heart of the parable. Divine love does not operate on merit, but mercy. Merit-based love is built in ego. Us thinking that the God within us operates on some merit-based system, that's ego. Okay? This story is not only about forgiveness, but about the unconditional nature of grace, identity, and the joy of returning to the source. Okay? So what is worthy? It's some construct you've made up in your mind. To be worthy, I have to work for worthiness. And the more worthy I get, the more that I can get. No, you can get all of it now by your awareness. This is a human construct. Okay? Oh, if you do good by others and the more good I'll do, the better I'll receive. You can look out in the world and see a lot of people. Do you think that everyone who you see with large amounts of prosperity, who seem to be living the life that they want, do you look at all of them and say, wow, I can just tell they've been doing good things? Your human perception can't even comprehend that. Our human perception wants to judge things and create merit-based systems because we're trying to understand the nature of the God. We try to say things like, I'm better than them. They've been doing good. How come they haven't gotten what they deserve yet? Are they aware of who they are? That's the one question. Are they aware of who they are? See, when we look out into the world, we will say, oh, if you do right by others, you should get right. And then we will use our mind based on our morality, based on where we are born, based on how we were brought up, based on the things that we have experienced, which really defines our morality and our moral compass. And we will try to judge everybody outside and say, okay, they deserve this or they didn't. And then in the same breath, when people walk as God, we will say, be humble. I just don't like how cocky he is. I don't like how cocky they are. They're walking too much like God, like they're in control, like they know their worth. I don't like that. Think about this, okay? This is a very interesting thing that most humans do, okay? But it is all about awareness. So the moment that you can step into awareness and walk around saying, I am God, God is within me, God dwelleth in me, okay? And that is where my prosperity, that's where all my gifts lie. This is the moment that, boom, you will be poured into. All right? So, my bad. The story of the prodigal son teaches us that no matter how far we stray through pride, poor choices, or spiritual forgetfulness, we are never beyond the reach of divine love. The younger son represents the soul that wanders into illusion, chasing fulfillment outside the Father's house, trying to create out of halak. This is the type of person that they don't understand that they are God, and they're going out trying to manifest stuff, and they're doing their affirmations and they're scripting, and they believe that there's power in the technique. You believe that your power is in the affirming. Your power is in the writing. Your power is in the feeling, which is fleeting. Because if it begins to rain outside, your mood can change. If someone runs up and slaps you, your mood can change. But you think that your power is in feeling. No. These things are just tools that you use to harness your creative power. But truly, you don't need any. They just make you feel good. That's all they are. Okay? Your power is in your awareness. It is not a game of alignment. It is a game of being. Who are you aware of being? Doesn't matter if you're sad. Doesn't matter if you feel unworthy. Doesn't matter if you're happy. Doesn't matter if you feel worthy. If you feel worthy and you don't feel worthy, you are still just as worthy if you have the knowing that you are worthy. All right? Hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't matter if you are sad or happy. If you believe that you are worthy, if you know that you're worthy, you're still just as worthy in both of those scenarios. This is a game of awareness, not alignment, not worthiness, not work. It is a game of awareness. Who are you consciously aware of being? Okay? So, his return symbolizes repentance, not as punishment, but as a return to truth and identity. Okay, so when he came to himself, Luke 15:17 marks the awakening moment where the power to shift our life begins, not by earning grace, but by remembering who we are. Okay? Not just by earning some grace, but by remembering exactly who we are. Okay, cool. So we also learn that the Father's love is not transactional. It is unconditional. The Son asked to be made a servant, yet the Father restores him fully, saying, this my son was dead and is alive again. Even if you ask for the smallest things, if you're aware of God, if you put your mind back on your I am awareness, you will still be poured into with everything. Okay? This reveals that manifestation, restoration, and healing are not based on worthiness, but willingness to return. The elder son's bitterness teaches us that self-righteousness can also blind us to grace. What are examples of self-righteousness, right? Well, in the scripture that I was talking about earlier, the verily, verily I say unto thee, whatever you ask in the Father's name shall be given to you. One of the removed parts of that scripture is ask without hidden agenda. Our spiritual ego, which represents the older brother in these situations, in a lot of Bible verses, the spiritual ego is represented by the big brother, the brother that believes that he deserves more because he's older, because he has gotten his father's inheritance, or whatever the case may be, because I've stayed loyal for so long. Okay. Asking without hidden agenda. Hidden motive would be like this. Yeah, I'm God, but I've been asking for 10 years. When is it going to show up? This is hidden motive. Okay, I'm not aware of who I'm being right. I'm aware of, yes, I'm God, but I'm also aware that I've been asking for 10 years. Okay, what is another example of hidden motive? Man, yeah, I believe that I'm God. Okay, but how can I feel prosperous if I do not get this job and this money? This is a hidden motive. I need that money to feel prosperous. I need this person to validate me so I can feel loved. I need this opportunity to show up so I can feel fulfilled. With fulfillment in all these things is you. This is your natural state of being. This is the divine within you. I want you to really play a game with your emotions. Okay, really just try to feel your feelings, feel your body. If you right now think of something that you really desire, okay, and it could be a large sum of money. If you think of $1 million, okay, and you imagine yourself wanting it, okay, just think about wanting it. And now, if you think about having it, having versus wanting, if you take away the end, right? So if I just think about the emotion of, or the feeling, the knowing of wanting something, desiring something, but I completely remove money, I completely remove what I'm desiring. I just sit in the feeling of desiring. And then I sit in the feeling of having. What you'll realize is those feelings, the energy that it brings up in your body are the exact same. The energy of having and the energy of desiring are the same thing. The only difference is the story that you tell. So can you get to a point where you begin to strip away the story, where you literally just sit in that feeling or that knowing of desiring and understand that desiring is having, or sit in the feeling of having and know that having is desiring, know that they're the same thing. The moment that you can start looking at these emotions as the same thing is the moment that you can start collapsing time. Okay? And all it entails, all it requires is for you to remove that end story. Remove the story that says that desiring is different than having. Metaphysically, they're the exact same thing. All right. Vibrationally, they're really the exact same thing. Okay. It is the story that turns one into lack and one into abundance or one into gratitude. But the feeling is the exact same. The emotion, the vibration is the exact same. Okay? So, introduction. So let's break this down a little bit further. Let's go into a little bit more detail. So in the parable of the prodigal son, we are not just witnessing a story of moral failure and redemption. We are beholding the arc of consciousness descending into illusion and returning to divine awareness. This story is about you. This story is about you. The manifest of the creator who forgot he was the son of a king and wandered into lack, limitation, and illusion. The prodigal son left the father's house not because he was evil. The prodigal son didn't leave because he was a quote unquote sinner. He was evil, right? He didn't that's not why he left. Okay? He just left because he sought to explore his own will, the same way we all do. We all look at the world and we look at our circumstances and we want to exert our own will. Man, I want to create something better. My life is like this. It's headed in trajectory A. I want to put that motherfucker on trajectory M. M standing for money. I want to put it on trajectory P for prosperity, right? You want to put your life on a different trajectory. That's fine. That is all that the prodigal son represents. Don't kid ourselves and put ourselves into this box and limited thinking where we just think in these narrow terms of like evil and right and wrong and good and bad. And these are these are illusions. Good and bad, right and wrong are illusions. They're created from a moral perspective. And that moral perspective is created just because we have egos. And our egos want us to create a functioning society where everybody is not just out killing each other. So we create these concepts of right and wrong, good and bad, all right, so we can live. But creation, the God within you uses whatever to create. The God within you doesn't see heartbreak the same as you. You look at heartbreak and say, why is this happening? Please, God, come through for me. Give me something better. Bring her back. The God within you says, no. I'm going to push you through this. Okay, because now I'm creating an environment where you can actually learn some skills so you can be a better person for who you're really meant for. And then 2 years later, you end up with that person and you say, thank God that I went through that last situation because it gave me the emotional intelligence and the competence. And it taught me the things that I needed to look for so I could actually get with you. But in that present moment, we look at it from one vantage point as negative. But 2 years in the future, all of a sudden, it's a good thing. The situation didn't change. It's the same situation. It's just our vantage point of the situation changed. Okay? So we can change our perception through whatever. Right? So this story is about you. Okay, the prodigal son left the father's house not because he was evil, but because he sought to explore his own will, to experience separation, selfhood, and the outer world. He is the soul incarnating, leaving the inner kingdom in search of identity. Your soul descends into this reality. It wraps itself in flesh and bones and blood and in the illusion of time, and it begins to experience itself. And then when you have a desire, to desire means to have. So when you have a desire, you should immediately start stripping away the desire. I have a desire, okay. Let's really break this down, because one thing that always bothered me was when people always tried to say, I want you to let go of your desire. The fuck does that mean? Let go of your desire. Why would I want to do that? I don't want to let go of my desire. I want to let go of the story that I put on it about how it's going to unfold. I want to let go of me thinking that my prosperity, if you want $1 million, let go of trying to predict exactly how it's going to come. And just know that it's going to come. Okay? I don't have to let go of my desires. I would actually argue that the conviction that you are going to receive your desire transcends thinking from lack. Meaning, when you have conviction that you will receive something, you no longer are always looking for it. If I knew, okay, if I was a kid, okay, and I knew that I was going to get a gift on Christmas, I'm just going to be excited for Christmas to come. I don't give, even if I look around, right? And one thing is you could say, okay, it's because they're kids, they don't know any better. But you could look around and see the most lack situation around you as a child. You don't care. Your mom already promised you this gift on Christmas. So you're just looking, hopefully waiting. It literally doesn't matter if you have a bad day on Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter if you get put in suspension the day after Thanksgiving, right? It doesn't matter if your best friend, you get into a fight with your best friend. It doesn't matter what happens. You stand in the knowing that you're going to get that thing for Christmas. The situations that show up don't change your perspective of what you are going to get. This is how conviction changes your reality. It's a game of awareness. It's a game of conviction. The more conviction you can have, the more that you can overcome feelings of lack. Because lack and conviction really can't function together. Conviction is really directly aligned to gratitude. And the moment you really start to align with that conviction, when you really start to align with that conviction, game changer. Game changer. So can you get to a point where you start to walk in absolute conviction that you are going to get something? Okay? So, but because he sought to explore his own will to experience separation, selfhood, in the outer world, he is the soul incarnating, leaving the inner kingdom in search of identity, but ultimately returning to the truth. All that the Father has is already his. So I'm walking out and I'm trying to create my life through the external world, right? I don't remember who I am, but I'm trying to create with affirmations. I don't remember who I am, but I'm trying to create with scripting. And those things can happen. They can work, right? But sometimes those feelings are fleeting. You still might say, okay, how come I can control things in one aspect of my life, but in others? Okay. And then you might go on this journey and say, well, I have to get rid of the subconscious programming and the limiting beliefs. I'm here to tell you that the knowing that you are God transcends all of those things. It transcends the subconscious work that you have to do to heal your relationships, the money mindset that you have to heal. The awareness of who you are transcends all those things. And so that allows God to flow through all these areas in your life because none of these things are separate. Okay? So this is the ultimate story of manifestation. Okay? And that's beautiful, right? Allowing yourself to be excited about the unfolding. Here's another thing. This is what really kind of helped. I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of something. This is what's helped me with the unfolding is that often I used to think, why does it take time? And what does the time mean? And one of the light bulb moments that I had was the unfolding of my desires is literally just the God within me creating time so I can experience more on the path to what I want, right? What I want is already there. My soul to God within me has just created this timeline for me to walk through to get there, right? And then on that path, I'm going to encounter other things that I want to change along the way. Right? The unfolding is a divine part. I have it is done, to desire, to have, to be, all the same shit. Right? I've received it. And now it's all unfolding within me to the promise. And I have nothing to do but to walk the path and enjoy it with gratitude. Another thing that helps me is when I was struggling with money. One of the mindsets, one of the thoughts that I typically had was, I am grateful that this will be the last time that I struggle. If you ever remember, you look back in your life, you'll have times where maybe you weren't doing good financially, or maybe it was like college or high school, right? Where sure, you were struggling with money, but you look back on those times later on and you're like, damn, those were good times. I think those were good times with my homeboys, good times with some women that I had back there, right? And then you grow up and you get more and more responsibilities because of your prosperity, and you move on, life changes, right? And you tend to reminisce about the good old days. Sometimes the struggling, what you are experiencing right now is going to be the good old days eventually. It is going to be something that you look back on and say, damn, like, I'm glad I made it through that. I learned so much there and I didn't even understand what I was in. So it is a very powerful mind frame to have, to look at the situation that you're in and say, man, I'm really grateful that this is going to be the last time that I'm going to experience this. But man, what have I learned? I have learned so much. I've learned so much in this unfolding. Okay. Remember when, for sure. Exactly. Right. Like I remember when all this shit was just falling apart. And you can even put your present moment in the past. Right? If you're struggling with money, I remember when I was just struggling with money. Right? If that puts you in the mindset of prosperity. Okay? But all of these things just help you enjoy the unfolding. Right? Because this is what your soul wants. Your soul has created creates, your higher self, the God within you creates this linear timeline, this linear way of you going to your desires, just as a way to create fulfillment, to get to the desire, to create a little bit of fun, some more experiences for you to enjoy on the path to what you want. You already have it, right? To have, to desire, to want, it's all the same thing. You already have it. Right? So even when people get caught up in I want versus I have, and I don't really pay attention to that, because when I really think of the words and the emotions behind it and the feeling, the vibration behind it's the same thing. The only difference is the story. If I'm telling myself a story of lack when I'm wanting, well, that's completely different than, oh shit, me, if I want it, I have it. Completely different. So, number one, the departure, a misguided use of will. All right, so Luke 15:12, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. The son asked for his inheritance early. He wanted to go into the world and make something of himself without the presence of the Father. Isn't this how many approach manifestation? Trying to create without awareness? We take the raw materials of our divine inheritance, consciousness, imagination, energy, and spend them in a quote unquote far country. Let me bold that. In a far country, chasing validation, wealth, and identity outside ourselves. Okay? So keep that in mind, right? So we take the raw materials of our divine inheritance and we try to spend them in a far country. What does that mean, in a far country? Because the parable specifically says that it's coming into the inner knowing that everything around you, everything outside of you is literally just being outpictured by the God within you. So when we live in the illusion, when we think that we are of this world, okay, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. But when we think that we are of this world and we stop looking at this world as an illusion, okay, now we are in a far country. We're in a foreign land. We don't look at it as a land that's trying. Your life is a report card. The world is a report card. Everything that confronts you is challenging you on a belief. It's giving you an opportunity to grow. It is the universe's God giving you a menu and saying, what do you prefer? Do you want more of this or do you want something different? Choose. If you want more of it, then continue doing that. You're remembering yourself correctly. But if you don't want more of it, then what do I always say, right? If you don't want more of this, then what would you prefer? In the desiring of what you want, you're going to get a glimpse of who you would be if you had that. And that glimpse of you is a reminder of who you really are. As a byproduct of living in this quote unquote far country, of thinking that this world is real, of dwelling in this world, not like it's not a byproduct of your inner state of consciousness. You're going to get caught up in this world and you're going to start to forget who you are. You're going to start to create illusory thoughts of who you are. Okay? So look at everything as this divine menu. Okay, boom. Why am I experiencing this? What would I have to believe to feel negative about this? Well, that means I'm remembering myself incorrectly. Now, what do I prefer? My imagination is God. God dwells within me. If I desire it, that means it's God desiring it through me. That can only mean that my imagination is God. So if my imagination is God, I can just give that up to the higher part of me, the larger part of me. The Father and I are one, but the Father does the work. This doesn't mean some man in the sky. It means the God within you. My Father and I are one. God and you are one, but your Father does the work. The moment I desire, I give it up. You got that? Thank you. Because if I can imagine it, surely the greater part of me sees it in more clarity. I only see the 0.1% of it. They see the 99.999% of it. That is just energy and information. I only see the matter. Okay? Then they go off to do the work. All right? So when I'm in this awareness, I'm not living in a far country. But when I'm just taking the raw materials of my divine inheritance, I've forgotten who I am. I'm literally wandering around in this far country, lost as hell, confused. I'm in this world of illusion. Nothing makes sense. Why does this shit keep happening? Niggas ain't shit. These women ain't shit, right? This is what people begin to say when they get too caught up in the world of illusions. This is the story of Pygmalion and Galatea that we talked about in Greek mythology the other day. Right? Pygmalion was tired of the world. He was sick of the women in the world, right? And instead of complaining about it, he went into his imagination, created an ideal woman out of what? Out of the clarity that he got from dealing with the wrong women. So even if I'm in unideal situations monetarily, financially, with my family, friends, in whatever relationship, those things give me clarity on what I want. So with the clarity, I create my ideal situation. Then I focus on that. I give it up to the Most High, and I allow that to be made manifest in my life, right? The story of Pygmalion and Galatea is a masterclass in manifestation, just like this story of the prodigal son is a masterclass in manifestation. When we think of these old, when we think of mythology, when we think of scripture, I really want you to think about how stories are passed. Yes, you can read scripture as a historical guideline, sure. If you want, you can do that. But I want you to really think about how our ancestors passed stories down. They weren't writing a lot of this down. They were writing some of it. But even when they were writing it down, they couldn't put all of the teachings just word for word. It would take lifetimes. Okay, so what if they do? They package things in stories. All right, so if you have a story that you can tell to children, there was a man that came to earth and he was born of a virgin and he taught all these things and he died, right? Whether you believe it or not, right? But let's say that you create this story. Now the kids and the entire village, they understand this story. Now you can unpack this story. Well, this is what this really means. But on a deeper level, this is what this means. Now, anytime life situations come up, you can say, okay, you remember that story I told you about this? Remember this part. Now remember this part. Now, I'm not saying these things like the Bible and all these things aren't true, because as a collective consciousness, if we all believe that they are true, then they are true. Because really the past doesn't exist. No one can prove anything truly happened in the past. I'm about to get a little bit woo. We about to go a little bit off topic. Nobody can really prove anything in the past. The past are just thoughts, or the words that we read from a book and we translate, right? But that's really all they are. Your thoughts on the past and the future are really the same. They're not tangible. They just live out in space somewhere. They're not tangible. You cannot prove either or, right? So we can sit here and argue and say, oh, they're not true stories. They are true stories. Well, what is true about them is they hold countless levels of insight. And they probably are made manifest in a past because we believe them. Because we as a collective consciousness have read them so much that we have created that past. But does it truly exist? Okay. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's around, does it make a sound? The answer is no, it doesn't make a sound, because consciousness actually determines if there's a sound or if there's existence or anything. Okay. But the moment that we stop looking at this world as this solid structure that's trapping us, and we look at it as our friend, our greatest ally, an ally into understanding ourselves on a deeper and more intimate level, an ally that's trying to push us into the version of ourselves that's going to get everything that we want. When we start looking at it as a divine ally, now we can start transforming our life, transforming our world. Okay. So manifestation that forgets the source, okay, it becomes fragmented, hollow, and eventually starved, like the prodigal son, right? Went out and was trying to create from lack, trying to create just based on what it was seeing outside. Okay, I know I'm gonna have to put in a lot of work here, and I'm forgetting the source. You're like the beggar, the homeless man, right? That's sitting on the side of the road, that's constantly begging. He's been given this box and it's locked. And he's never looked inside of the box. And finally somebody comes up and says, okay, what's in the box? I don't know. It's worthless. I just carry it. I just carry it around with me. Right? And then when he finally opens it, it's more riches than he can ever imagine. Okay? This is the box of your awareness. The box of your awareness that God is within you. It is the pathway to all the riches that you could ever imagine. All right, but we're constantly looking out in the world thinking that our prosperity is going to come from that job, thinking that we can predict where the next love of your life will come from. This is why every time that you walk outside and somebody walks up to you and says, man, You know what I'm saying? Baby, you look beautiful. I want to get to know you. You immediately start listing out, well, I need a man to do this, that, this, and that. Right? And you scare them away. Because we're not in the flow of life. We're not allowing life to kind of dictate and show us things. And we're just not flowing upstream. All right, before I get too off topic again. All right, so number 2, the illusion of lack in the far country. Okay? And so Luke 15:14, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land. Okay, what does this famine mean? When he had spent all, I've been doing all the work. What do we typically call that? We call it rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. But this is actually a spiritual place, because it's most of the time when people hit rock bottom, this is when they can actually start to surrender. Okay? So when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land. The famine of lack. The famine of lack. This famine is not just physical, it is spiritual. It is what happens when we disconnect from the divine law within. We disconnect from our I am awareness, when we forget that we're God. We're constantly waiting for some savior to come. We need a priest to save us, or we need to sit in the chapel, or we have to. The moment that you come into that awareness of who you are, you begin to completely disentangle yourself from lack. Disentangle yourself from lack. Okay? When we live in the future, when we live in the opinions of others, when we live in the past, when we live in the ego's desires, okay, we move into a place of spiritual starvation. And the ego's desires don't mean like the difference between wanting money for yourself and wanting world peace. Those are both spiritual desires. When I say ego desires, I'm talking about control. The ego likes to predict. It likes to control things, okay? People always say, well, it's an ego desires. If you want a lot of money, it's an ego desire. How much money do you really need? You deserve whatever you want. No one could put a cap on what you deserve. No one knows your perspective. They haven't lived life in your mind. They can only speak from their perspective. Okay, we truly could never really speak for anyone else. We can't even speak for past versions of ourselves because we don't even think of as that person anymore. Right? If you try to think and predict how a past version of you would react to a situation, you really don't know. You really have no idea. You can perceive, you can guess, but it's always like when we have these situations of these things that come up in the world, right? And people say, okay, it could never have been me. Or someone might get caught up in a scandal or just put in a bad situation monetarily. And people will say, well, it could never be me. No, you don't even know that. You know how you feel right now. But how you feel right now, you weren't even in that situation. And being in that situation could elicit a completely different version of you that you are unaware of. And you can react in a way that you're not very proud of. We have to give people grace. This is why even when, I think it was Peter was talking to Jesus, was like, okay, how many times should I forgive? How many times should I forgive my neighbor? And Jesus said, I didn't tell you 7 times. I said 7 times 70. Which actually means 490, or which actually is 490, which in Hebrew actually translates to infinity. 490 translates to infinity, right? When you actually read it in the Hebrew text, okay? So you should forgive people in an infinite amount of times, and you should forgive yourself in infinite amount of times. All those past versions of you. You are a new person right now. You kill your old self every day. Every moment you kill the old version of you. Every moment you think of past situations that you weren't proud of, and you kill that version of you, and you forgive that version of you over and over and over again. And you look out in the world and you forgive everybody. All right? This is what Jesus said when he was on the cross, right? Forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Right? Because they don't know that their condemnation of me, their crucifying of me is a crucifying of themselves. Because they don't understand that God dwells in all of us and we are all reflections of the same God. We are all the same. What I do to you, how I persecute you, how I condemn you, how I judge you is how I judge myself. Right? And so people want to play the moral high ground and say what you should do and this is how you should act, but you don't know because you weren't in that situation. You never know what you would do. So the righteous thing is to always forgive. It's to always know that you're living in a time of uncertainty. We think of ourselves as so ideal until things happen to us. And then we want people to give us grace. Right? Give your fellow man grace. Give your fellow woman grace. Right? We all make mistakes. We're all just going through life. We're all just trying the best that we can. But how often should we forgive ourselves, right? How often do I have to stay on the path? Everything represents everything. So let's take it a different direction. Everything represents everything. Okay, life is multidimensional. The spiritual world has multidimensional dimensions. The physical reality has multiple dimensions. Okay, when you fall off of this path and you forget who you are, how many times should you forgive yourself? An infinite amount of times. How long should I continue to try to discipline my mind an infinite amount of times? How long should I try to pursue the things that I want for infinity? How long should I try to continue to remember that I'm God? What if I fall off? You keep getting back on. Infinity. How long do I have to keep doing it? Infinity. Forever. All right? So the same way that we have to forgive others is the same way that we have to forgive ourselves. It's the same way that we have to discipline ourselves. It's the same way that we have to walk the righteous path. It's the same way that we need to call on the God within us infinite times, in every moment. This is a game of consciousness. What does consciousness mean? Awareness. People think that you're going to come into consciousness and you're just going to drift through life the same way that you have for the last 20, 30 years in a lazy state. And you've gotten to such a level of consciousness that all of a sudden you just float and you go back to sleep and things just get better. No, consciousness means consciousness. It means the moment that you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. Once you know, you can't unknow. Once you walk as consciousness, you cannot undo it. So this is what consciousness means. It means I'm going to be conscious 24/7. It means I'm aware of God. It means that is in the back of my mind all the time. It means I become the observer of my life. Most people just go through their life in a reactory way. Whatever happens, I react to it and I go through life unconscious. If I'm driving, something happens, sometimes I say, I don't even know how I got here. Whatever happens, I just react to it. The first thought is react. News comes on, I react. Somebody texts me bad news, I react. I look at my bank account, I react. You can't do that anymore. You cannot do that anymore. To whom much power is given, you also have a lot of responsibility. Right? So consciousness is a responsibility. It's a 24/7 thing. Yeah, I know it's difficult, but it gets easier over time. It's difficult to lift your consciousness. It's heavy. Consciousness is heavy. Okay? But you do it over and over and over again, you get better at it. You get stronger. The muscles get bigger. So you can squat more now. You can curl more now. You can bench more now. But you do this over time. And you truly start to walk through your life, observing your life instead of reacting. This is how you play the game. Right? Life is a video game. You can either dumb yourself into the video game and just completely dissolve into the game, lose your awareness, or you can stay conscious and aware of the game and constantly keep your eye on everything. Constantly look at what is everything trying to show me. Constantly look, if this was God, what is it trying to do? Constantly think, oh, how do I want this situation to play out? What would I prefer? What do I want to happen? This is the game. When people say life is a game, this is the game. A game of consciousness. Highest vibration wins. Okay? Highest vibration wins. So, in this far country, when we are descended into this world of chaos and we are constantly just sitting around and we get caught up in the illusion, right? He attaches himself to a citizen who sends him to feed pigs. What is feeding pigs a symbol of? This is a symbol of spiritual degradation. When you think of pigs, right? In some cultures, they say that pigs house the souls of the damned, right? People come back people's souls come back into pigs. That's why certain religions don't eat pork, right? But pigs are just seen as unclean animals. They eat whatever. 24, they just eat. That's all they do. They'll eat human bodies. They'll eat whatever is in front of them, okay? So he longs for the husks. Right? He longs for the husks. He longs for just anything. Okay, this is what happens when we try to manifest from the ego instead of the soul, right? When we try to, and that doesn't mean, once again, manifest from the ego doesn't mean ego desires versus divine enlightened desires. Manifesting from the ego means manifesting without the awareness that you are God. That's all it means. Okay, manifesting from the ego means my power is in the technique, not in the awareness. You are the operant power. It is divine timing because you say so. It is beautiful because you say so. It is working out. It's in alignment because you say so. That's it. Okay, this is what happens when we try to manifest from the ego instead of the soul. You will always hunger for more when you forget you already have it all. Okay, we see this play out throughout history where all kinds of these conquerors, right? They'll gain the world and still just feel like, I don't really have enough. I don't have enough. Because there's no amount of worldly things that can fulfill you the way that, let me just give a personal example. We always say stuff like, there's no amount of worldly things that can fulfill you without God. When I say that, this is what I mean. The moment that you have a desire and you begin to walk the path that you are God, and it shows up in your life in this divine way that you could not have predicted, the amount of fulfillment that you have cannot be placed into words, right? It's fulfillment that I've been living wrong, that I literally can relax into whatever I want, that I am not alone, that I thought I was in this game alone. So, okay, you're born alone, you're gonna die alone, but I was never alone. I never was born alone, and I'm for sure not dying alone, right? I've been walking with God this entire time, but I've just been sleeping to it, right? So the awakening of who you are is really what is the most powerful part of this journey, right? It's understanding that you are God. It's not understanding that you are God in theory. It's not finding it in a book, but it is when you become that conscious controller of your life and you start to transcend worldly things. There are no time crunches because there's no time with God. All right. There's no lack because there's no lack with. There's no loss because there's no loss with God. And I am God. So there's no loss or lack with me. Okay, this is fulfillment. Everything else is just temporary. The women that you get, temporary. All right. Oh, shit. Got the puzzle piece. My bad. Damn, another one? All right, but everything else is just temporary. Okay, so you will always hunger for more when you forget you have it all already. So the turning point is coming to himself. So Luke 15:17, but when he came to himself, this is the moment of awakening. When he came to himself, not when he went to the synagogue, right? Not when he went to the temple, not when he went to go get baptized. When he came to himself, because you are the temple. The world tries to externalize all these things within you. There's no temple outside of you. There's no preacher that you need to go to. No one can save you. No one can bring you salvation. It is all within you. Okay, so this is the moment of awakening. The son remembered who he was, not through shame, but through clarity. He saw how far he had fallen from grace and knew there was a better way. Manifestation begins with remembering who you are. The act of coming to yourself is the most powerful shift in consciousness. It is repentance. Not as punishment, but as reorientation, a turning back to truth, a shift from I am broken and alone to I am a son of the Most High. This is the act of coming to yourself. It's the most powerful shift in consciousness, and I'll always call it the highest level of self-actualization. The highest level of self-actualization is there is no separation between the Creator and me. I am God. Right? We go from trying to manifest with our actions. Hard work pays. Then we try to manifest with our feelings and control our thoughts and our assumption of who we are. I am prosperous. But the awareness of I am God trumps all of that. It trickles through all of that. The divine knowing that I am God, right, overwrites my need to assume that I'm prosperous because God is prosperous. It's prosperity, right? It transcends me having to control my feelings and my thoughts because those things flow. They're just manifestations of the moment, right? Just like the external circumstance, my feelings, my thoughts, the conditions in the external world, these things just flow. They change every moment in an instant. You can go from happy to sad to angry to in a second. You can go through all of those. That makes no difference in who I am. The God within me is this ever-present, never-changing, constant being that's always in alignment with what I want and is bringing me those things as long as I'm aware of it. This is why this is a game of awareness. It is one thing to walk through life, because this is why the conscious path is incredible, right? Because we understand, all right, well, I have to feel happy. That means I have to be conscious of being happy all the time. And then we realize that's impossible. Try to be happy when bad things come. You're just going to end up suppressing. And emotions that are suppressed, they don't disappear. They have to be made manifest somehow. So they usually are made manifest in destructive ways. And then you have the assumption, well, I am prosperous, right? But how do you feel prosperous when the bank account says otherwise? Well, then we try to suppress what we see, and we suppress reality. When reality is just giving you signs, it's showing you things that are part of your old identity, but it's also just presenting that menu to you. So it's not a game of suppression, it's a game of mastery. If a situation shows up to me and I do not like it, the money shows up to me, what is the story that I attach to it? All right? Yeah, it's just showing me this thing, but I'm still prosperous. Everything is going to be paid off, right? God's showing me this because he's trying to show me how much money he's going to give me. Right? This is already paid. I'm just walking. I'm right now just in the unfolding of all of this. And I can judge, right, how aware I'm being by how I'm reacting to things. If I'm suppressing things, I'm not really aware of being divine. If I'm just going through life and I'm flowing downstream and I'm letting the unwinding happen and I'm staying conscious and aware that I am the divine and I'm not reacting, well, now I know that I'm on point. Okay. Now I know that I'm on point. This is the same story of when Pontius Pilate is talking to Jesus. Right? Pontius Pilate is talking to Jesus. He says, don't you know that I have the authority to crucify you? I can have you killed. He said a whole bunch of things to Jesus, and Jesus didn't respond. Because Pontius Pilate, all Pontius Pilate represents is your external circumstances. Don't you know that I can have you evicted? Don't you know by not paying this bill, I can have your credit ran down? The external circumstance. Okay, don't you know by me cheating on you, I can leave, I can take away the love that you have? The external circumstance, right? Even the word Pharisee means to separate. To separate. This is what Pharisee means. It's to separate. Okay? So and we see that throughout the entire church. It's like it separates. It tries to make God out there and you here. Right? Creates this separation. The Pharisee, Pontius Pilate, it represents separation. It represents lack in the world. So Pontius Pilate said, don't you know that I have the power to condemn you? Or I have the power to crucify you? What does Jesus say? He says, you would have no authority unless I give it to you. Meaning, what does this really mean? Because we can look at it from a storybook perspective like children, right? But we're adults. So we look at things as adults. We look at things as the wise ones in the groups that are trying to determine the meaning. We're not just looking at this as some story. Okay, we've transcended that. It means if in here I don't give you the authority to crucify me, you can't. If I don't give you the authority to have power over me, you can't, right? Anytime that you are giving things power over you, you need something to show up a certain way, to do something a certain way. So you can feel good, you are giving your power to them. This is the same. This is what this means. When we say stop giving your power away. Take back your power. Take back your power from the external circumstances. This is what it means. Understand that God is within you. All right? See how the world tries to dilute these things down? How can you take the power? How can you take your power back and still think that God is outside of you? You're still, in an instance, putting your power all in something outside of you, right? God is within you. Pull all of your power to you. Nothing outside of you has power over you unless you give it authority. This situation doesn't have the power to make you feel broke unless you give it authority. This person doesn't have the power to make you feel unloved unless you give it authority. Right? So this is what all these things mean. These are metaphysical stories. The story of Jesus and Pontius Pilate and all the Pharisees is key manifestation stories, right? Key manifestation stories, right? This is even when we see it even play out with the concept of quote unquote sin versus the concept of you doing the righteous thing, walking the righteous path. When even the Pharisees, which are represent, let's use them, let's use the church. Okay, the Pharisees, really that's what they represent. Right? Condemning them. Why are you healing people on the Sabbath? Why are you doing things on the Sabbath, right? Why are you not following the world's view of what is right and wrong? Okay? And Jesus shot back at them. Right? What is right and wrong? Right? Would you consider this a bad thing? Would you consider going towards your desires a bad thing? So when we talk about the true definition of sin, the true definition of sin is missing the mark. If I have an idea in my mind, an imaginal act, that is God desiring it through me, because God and me are the same. And now for me to get to that desire, I have to walk the righteous path, meaning I have to be conscious and remember who I am. I am God. I've been remembering myself incorrectly. That's why I have these negative things. So I'm sinning. Anytime I'm remembering myself incorrectly, I'm committing a sin against myself. How many times should I forgive myself? What did Jesus say? I didn't tell you to forgive your neighbor 7 times. I said 70 times 70, which in Hebrew is infinity, 490, infinity, as many times as it takes. So you continue to forgive yourself over and over and over again. And you walk the righteous path to your mark. This is the version. This is what walking in righteousness means. Sin isn't something that the church can dictate, something that can change based on where you are born. You don't even follow the religion that you follow if you're born in a different place in the world. You might look at the religion that you follow right now as ridiculous if you were born in a different place in the world. This has nothing to do with sin. Right? The political agenda that you are has nothing to do with right or wrong. You will look at politics completely different if you were born in a different socioeconomic environment, a different part of the world. You have a completely different perspective on the world politics, on everything that's going on. It's nothing to do with right and wrong. This is what your ego says is right and wrong. And you have wrapped this up into morality, and now you use this to judge the world and feel like you are walking the right path when you are still doing things that are against the ideal version of yourself. All right? So this is what sin is. All right? So a turning back to truth, a shift from I am broken and alone to I am a son of the Most High. Okay, so number 4 is Number 4 is the journey back, embodied faith. So, the journey back, the most divine journey. He arises, the prodigal son arises and walks back home, still unsure if he will be received. All right, I'm aware that I'm God, but I still don't really all the way feel worthy. But this is faith in motion, walking toward the promise, even if the mind doubts. This is faith. Who says that faith is without doubt? Who says that understanding who you are is without doubt? It's without any kind of second guessing or questioning. And we see this even play out throughout the Bible. What did Jesus say on the cross? God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me? Okay. When the Israelites, Israelite meaning God or God. Let me not misquote what Israel really means, right? But it either means like the God within you or God, something about the man that has God within him. Okay. Even Israel, when they were being kept or delivered from slavery, they started to question God. And they said, man, we should have stayed in slavery. So this is a lot of times what your mind will say, well, shit, man, I'm walking towards God, but I've done all these bad things already. I've already been trying so hard. I've fucked up so much. Am I even worthy? Just your awareness that God is within you makes you worthy. This is what I mean when I say you have to transcend those feelings. Okay? Worthiness isn't a feeling. It's just a knowing. It's just a walk. God is within you. You are worthy. It doesn't matter if you even feel worthy or not. So this is where the consciousness comes into play. The consciousness has to transcend the feeling. So you can walk through life and you can feel bad. You can feel, down and out and all that. But your consciousness has to say, because I know that I'm God, I am worthy. Okay? Even if it's difficult. Even if you're crying. Even if you're on the bathroom floor crying because somebody just broke up with you and you feel like shit and you don't know what to do with your life and you're miserable, you're still worthy of the love that you deserve. And you can still fall into that knowing. Okay? So this is faith in motion, walking toward the promise, even if the mind doubts. When you manifest from divine remembrance, you may still feel unworthy. You may still feel unworthy. Okay? You may still you may still carry guilt. You may still be a little guilty. Okay? But the act of embodiment, of walking as if you are already welcomed, is the key. While he was yet a great way off, not just in the physical world, while he was still a great way off, right? He was still walking back from the club. He was still hungover the morning after. I'm still slizzard. Bro, I was out all night. I'm still slizzard, but I'm still worthy, walking back to my Father's house. You still have the stench of what you were doing on you, but you are worthy, walking back to your Father's house. The moment, this is a game of awareness. So the moment that you shift your awareness to the God within you, I am God, boom, you're worthy like that. No delay. No time delay at all. But what if I did this? Yes, you're still worthy. But what if I did? Yes, I'm still worthy. See, the world has all these things. Well, you have to pay for your crimes and all that. Not in the kingdom, you don't. Not to the God within you, you don't. The reason you believe that you have to work for these things is that's the human construct. That's the ego speaking. That's the ego desire. Okay? But you already are worthy the moment that you shift your awareness. This is a game of awareness, not alignment. Alignment's an illusion. If you're trying to work for your alignment, just the fact that you believe you're working towards alignment means you're not in alignment. If you're trying to work to be worthy, just the fact that you're working to feel worthy or be worthy means you're not worthy. If you're working to be loved, that means you're not loved, right? But you're all these things because the divine is in you. How could you not be worthy if God is in you? How could you not be loved if God is within you? Huh? Please explain. How could you not be loved if God is within you? What is God? This is unconditional, infinite love. How could you not be worthy? This is unconditional, infinite worthiness.Ing could you not be in alignment? If you couldn't imagine it, or if you can imagine it, you are in alignment. The only thing that you're not in alignment with is what you cannot imagine. And the only thing that you cannot imagine, because you could never have it, is you could never imagine not existing. Try as hard as you want, you will have a brain cramp before you can ever imagine not existing. You can imagine darkness, you cannot imagine not existing. Even when you go to sleep, it just feels like there's this blank period of time that passes if you don't dream, where you just close your eyes and all of a sudden you wake up and time has passed. You don't even understand the concept of not existing. If we talk about love, how to understand that you are an infinite being is when you think of love and you find the person that you love, you do not even think in terms of time anymore. You don't say, I will love you until the end of my life. You say, I will love you forever till the end of time. I will love you this lifetime and whatever comes next. Whatever comes next. Heaven, hell, next incarnation. Don't give a fuck. I will find you and I will love you. Because that is what your soul knows. Your soul knows infinity, knows nothing else. It doesn't understand the concept of end. The end of love, what does that mean? What the hell does the end of love mean? Love is infinite because you are an infinite being of love and worthiness. You are always in alignment. Okay? So while he was yet a great way off, his father saw him. Even your first step back is seen by the divine. Your first step, right? It only matters what you are doing right now. Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatever you ask in the Father's name will be given to you. Whatever you ask in the Father's name, I am God, I am worthy, I am prosperity. You've asked it in the Father's name. The Father's name is I am. That is your true name. Is I am. You are just awareness, walking around in this flesh suit. All right? You're just awareness behind this flesh suit. You do things, sometimes your body just does shit you don't even know about. You can just be playing with a pencil and drop it and catch that motherfucker before you even remember. You're like, damn, I don't know how I did that. Right? You are just the awareness behind this body. You are infinite awareness. And the moment that you become aware of who you are, your Father, the moment you lock eyes, you lock consciousness with the Father within you. Oh, yeah, that's the moment life gets good. The moment y'all lock consciousness, I am God. Boom, it's locked. We're locked in. We are locked in. This is when life gets good. Okay, the Father sees you. So even your first step back is seen by the divine. All right. Now, number 5, the Father's embrace the law of grace. Bring forth the best robe and put a ring on his hand. Luke 15:22. The Father does not shame him. He restores him. God is not sitting here to chastise you. God is not trying to teach you. God is not trying to punish you. I'm going to make you, because you've been dwelling away from your desires for so long, I'm going to make you work for it. No, it's not how the Most High operates. Okay? This is divine law. You are never punished for your forgetting of who you are. You're never punished. The concept of heaven and hell, these are human constructs. These are made to control. There's no heaven and hell. This is an all-loving Father. Why would an all-loving, eternal God send you to a place of eternal suffering just from not following some laws that the church, which is a group of men, made up? Okay? So you're only invited back into remembrance. You are never punished for your forgetting. Only invited back into remembrance. When you remember your divine identity, the universe rushes to meet you. Your robe. Okay? What does the Father say? He says, bring forth the best robe and put a ring on his hand. Put shoes on his feet. Okay, what does the robe represent? Your identity. The robe represents your identity. He's remembered who he is. He has returned to me. My son has returned to me. This is what the divine says. Put his robe on. He's God now. Now he remembers who we are. He has his identity. Put the ring on his hand. What does the ring symbolize? Your authority. You are God now, right? You remember who you are. Put the ring back on my son and your sandals. You see, he put some shoes on his feet. What do the shoes represent? Your path being restored. Now your path is restored because you've locked consciousness with the divine. You back to who you are. Now your path is restored. You don't have to do this by yourself anymore. Me and my Father are one, but my Father does all the work. God has weapons I don't know of. Shields and guns and all kinds of divine weaponry that I don't know about. I'm just me. I'm just the awareness that points. My faith, right, is built on the template. Your imagination is the template. Your faith is the architecture, and the divine builds upon that template and architecture. Okay? Your path is restored. This is the state of living in the end, as Neville Goddard taught. The feast is yours because you are the one who was lost, and now you are found. I was lost, but now I'm found. Okay, I'm conscious now. And how long can I stay conscious? All right? All right, so the elder son, resistance to grace, number 6. Almost through. Okay, let us not ignore the elder son, who represents the ego's demand for fairness. He never left, but he also never fully received. His righteousness made him blind to grace. Manifestation is not about earning. It is about, I should have said awareness. It is about awareness. The kingdom was always his, but he never entered the feast. Let's break this down. Okay? That spiritual ego. How does the spiritual ego keep us from the shit we want? Okay? The kingdom was always his, but he never entered the feast because he clung to resentment. Be mindful of the voice within you, the one that says you have to do more to deserve. The one that says you're better than them because you believe this. You meditate more, so you're better than them. You lift more weight, so you're better than them. You're more in shape, so you're better than them. You're a raw vegan, so you're better than them. You're on the carnivore diet. You're better than them. Okay? That voice keeps you outside of the party. How many times should you forgive your neighbor? I didn't tell you to forgive them 7 times. I said 7 times 70. Infinite. Okay? Means I have to look at my neighbor as myself. We're all on this path together. Everyone is just a reflection of me. If my imagination is God and I'm constantly, what does it really mean to sin against your neighbor? Treat others as you would have, as you want them to treat you. What does that mean? What does that golden rule mean? It means that if I know my imagination is God and creates reality, and I'm sitting here trying to always create good things for myself, what the hell am I thinking about with my neighbors? Who are just me from different vantage points, who are all just God, perceiving God from different perspectives. So, yeah, I'm doing all this work and I'm seeing myself as well, but I don't like you. You need to humble yourself. She's not on the right diet yet. So lost in the world. They're not studying this spiritual path. You're lost. God doesn't know you. I rebuke you. Why are you doing it like that, right? This spiritual ego keeps you from the kingdom. Okay? And this is how a lot of people think. So do right unto others. If you understand that God is within you, if you understand that your imagination is God, you understand that you always have to be conscious, you have to do right by others. You have to do right by others. Meaning, how many times you forgive your neighbor? Infinite. Doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. That would be you being an idiot. It's a difference between forgiving your neighbor and being an idiot, all right? So we don't use this as an excuse to let people walk all over us, to be a doormat, all right? But you forgive your neighbor. You remove yourself from situations that don't serve you, but you forgive your neighbor. I see you as ideal, okay? So the kingdom was always his, but he never entered the feast. The Father made this huge feast. Think about this. The prodigal son was gone. He was in the world. He was doing wrong. He came back the moment he locked consciousness with the divine and began to walk back with the divine, right? He was given a feast. He was given his robe, the ring, the path, right? So he was given back his identity as God, his power as God, given a feast, everything that he wanted. And this other person's looking, the older brother representing the ego. What about me? I've been praying too. I've been meditating too. For even longer than him. Now we go back to the other scripture. Hitherto you have asked nothing. Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatever you ask in the Father's name shall be given to you. The Father's name is I am. Until now you have asked nothing. But I've been asking longer than him. So you're aware of the past. You're not aware of now. Right now, what are you aware of? Right now, you are aware that you've been asking longer than this other person, meaning that you are dwelling in the past. You're not in the present moment. What are you asking for right now? Are you asking for your prosperity, your worthiness right now? Are you asking for your consciousness to be intertwined with the divine right now? Are you aware of who you are right now? Or are you aware that you've been doing it longer than them? I've been trying to manifest. They're saying that they're getting all that they want overnight and in a month. I've been trying to manifest for a year. It's not fair. Spiritual backbone, y'all. Tune out the noise. If you got to block everybody and not talk to anybody and just focus on your thing, do that, right? But when we get pulled into this trap of spiritual ego, I'm better than you because I practice this religion. I'm better than you because I do this. I'm better than you because you can't enter. You're going to be, you can't truly receive everything that you want. Because you're not asking, you're asking with a motive. The motive is I'm putting my power in these techniques. I'm putting my power in the time. I'm putting my power on everything except who I'm being right now. Some master class right here for how to get in alignment with what we want. An absolute master class, absolute gems just being dropped all over this story. All right, so in conclusion, you are always the beloved. The story of the prodigal son is the story of manifestation. You forgot who you were. You came down here and forgot who you were. You wandered into separation, just hard work, control my feelings, control my thoughts, right? You just wandered into separation. You suffered in lack, trying to do it all yourself. You remembered your source. You try to find God. You remember, I have to be conscious. The moment that I can lock consciousness with the divine is the moment that I remember who I am. You return in faith, and then you were received in grace. Okay? Luke 15:31, son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. You're always with me. And everything that I have is yours. Everything that the Father has, everything that the God has within you, meaning anything that you can imagine is yours. And the moment you imagine and accept it as yours, it's done. God automatically has created the path. It already exists. You have it. God has just opened up this path for you to walk to get it, to experience it, to experience more fulfillment on your way to it. Put it like that, okay? To experience more fulfillment on the way to it. You were never separate. Okay, the power to create, to call things that are not as though they were, is yours. The feast is prepared. The robe is waiting. The ring fits your hand. Okay? The feast is prepared. Everything that you desire is already ready for you. The robe, your identity, your authority is waiting for you. And the ring already fits your hand. Return to yourself, manifest from truth, and walk like it is already yours, because it is. Okay? Because it is. A king does not wait for everyone else to give him anything. He walks as if he knows who he is. Okay? Walk as if you know that you are a son, a daughter of God, right? Walk as if you know that you are a God, that you are a goddess, because you are. You are nothing less. Let everyone else argue for their limitation. Let them throw fits for their limitations. Okay, let them cry and scream and bitch and whine about their limitations, but you remember who you are and you walk accordingly. Okay, so to summarize all of this, okay, the story of the prodigal son is just an absolute gem when it comes to manifestation. Right? It's a story that Jesus used to show the power of returning to the Father. Okay? It doesn't matter how far you've wandered, doesn't matter how low you believe you are, doesn't matter how much you believe that things have fallen apart. Okay? Everything is actually just unfolding for you. The only thing that you have to do is return to source. When we talk about an ego desire versus a divine desire, it is not that one desire is better than the other. They're all the same. Okay? All an ego desire means is an ego desire. It means I'm trying to do it myself and control all the circumstances. The divine, manifesting from the soul, means that I accept my desire and I understand that me and God are the same. Me and God are one, but the Father does all the work. So he outlines how everything unfolds, and I simply go for the ride. Okay, this is your divinity. And this is what makes life sweet, makes life enjoyable. We talk about the unfolding of events. Everything unfolds from within you. And life is just a report card. It's a report card that is showing you who you are. And it's a report card that is showing you things just like you're at a menu, just like you're at a restaurant. Situations show up in your life and they show you what you have been aware of being. You are experiencing negative emotions going through this situation because you've been remembering yourself wrong. And the moment that you can look at the situation and say, okay, it's just a template, it's just a menu item. Do I want more of it? If I don't, what would I prefer? Now, my imagination is God, meaning the moment that I desire and I can imagine something that I want, the greater part of me begins to see that as well. So I can say thank you. I can say thank you to God immediately, because to desire, to want, to have, to be, these are all the same things. Right? Like I said earlier, if you think of the emotion, the feeling, the vibration that you have when you desire something, and you take away the end desire, you desire a car. Now take away the car, just dwell in the vibration of that. Now think about something that you have. Take away the thing and just dwell in the vibration of that. They're the exact same thing. It's the exact same feeling. The only difference is the story you attach. So we want to start dwelling more on the vibration instead of the story. And this takes consciousness. To have is to be, is to hold, is to be promised. Your mind, your desires are the promised land. And sometimes you have to go through the wilderness to get it. Just like the prodigal son had to go to the wilderness, right? Had to go out into the world of lack and limitation. But the moment that he turned back to who he was, I am God. God is within me. Right? It's the moment that the divine forgave him. Even when he was still walking towards the house, the divine saw him from far off. He was still far off. We think of this physically, meaning he was still far away, but really he was still far off of the path. He still felt like he was unworthy, just like most of us do. I've been doing all this months. I've been living like this, and now I'm trying to come back to the awareness that God is within me. Am I worthy? I'm a drinker. I'm a smoker. I've been throwing ass in the club, whatever you've been doing. Yes, you are still worthy because God is within you. You are still worthy of everything. And it transcends your feelings. Right? Transcends your feelings, transcends your thoughts, transcends your circumstances. You are worthy just with that divine awareness. Okay? And so then he gets back to the house. He's given his robe. Immediately, the divine comes out to greet him. You have turned your awareness back to me. I will meet you there. And I will give you your robe representing your identity. I will give you a ring representing your power. You have the power of God. Okay? I will give you your shoes, meaning your path is made perfect again in me. When you just put your awareness on me, I will restore your path. So there's nothing to do. There's always something to do, but there's really nothing to do. You ain't got to do shit. Okay? You just have to do whatever's best in the next moment. All right. And then the path illuminates. Now the older brother, which typically represents the ego in these biblical stories, the older brother says, hold up. I've been with you this whole time and I didn't get a feast. All right. This goes back to the other verse. Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatever you ask in the Father's name shall be given to you. Until now, you've asked nothing. So it's not about what you have asked in the past. When we say until now, when we think until now you've asked nothing, we tend to think, yes, I have. I've been asking for a week, for a month, for a year, for 2 years, whatever. And he's only been asking 2 months. We want to look at success stories. How come they got this? How come they manifest this in 2 weeks? How come they manifest this in a month? How come they did it in 2 days and I'm still struggling? Well, scripture clearly says, until now you've asked for nothing. So it doesn't mean that until now you haven't asked for anything. What it means is it only matters what you're asking for now. Are you aware of being the person that's aware that you are God and has that thing? Or are you aware that you've been asking for 10 years? Which one is it? There can only be one. You can only be aware of one thing. A double-minded man is unstable. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So how can I be aware that I have something and then also be aware that I've been asking for it for 10 years and this other person's only been doing it for 2 months? It doesn't make sense. You're sending out mixed signals, 2 different prayers in 2 different directions, meaning you get nothing. Okay? You're literally just manifesting time. When you're aware of time, what you are doing is you're creating time. This world is just you, outpictured. If I'm aware that it's been taking 10 years, all I'm doing is creating awareness that it's taken 10 years. That's all I'm doing. And time really is relative. Time is really just I don't really like saying time's not real, but time isn't, okay? Fuck it. For this part, time really isn't real. So the more that I'm aware that it's been taking a long time, the more time it has to take because I'm creating the awareness that it is that. Instead of me just creating the awareness that I have it and knowing that every moment that I'm experiencing right now is just the God within me creating the path for me to experience other good things on the way to get there. Right? So when we get caught into the ego thinking about why is it taking this long? How come that person get it? I've been meditating more than him. I've taken more mushrooms than him. I've done more plant medicine than him. I'm this religion and he's not. How come he's getting that? Right? Trying to judge people because they're not in complete alignment with you. Who are you? Let he without sin cast the first stone. We see all of these things throughout scripture that just point to the same message. Right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor, meaning if I know my imagination is God and whatever I create my imagination is created in my life, why would I do harm to my neighbor? But most people still walk through this life acting like the damn Pharisees. No, you can't do this because that's not in alignment with what this church says. What is your church but one perception on an infinite perspective? What is your religious text but a small little sliver of infinite consciousness? Most people act like the Pharisees. Most people walk around thinking that they believe in Jesus, thinking that they're doing the work of the Most High. But they sound just like the Pharisees. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, this is that. This is evil. This is demonic. This is witchcraft. This is wrong. Most of us walk around acting like the Pharisees. We claim to follow something or someone. However, we act the same as the people who were telling him that he had to follow certain laws. You can't heal. Right? I want you to think about this, right? You will try to channel something and use the power within you and kind of channel that power within you through some ritual that helps you impress your mind, right, to heal your family member, and someone will walk in your life and say, no, that's demonic. You can't do that. Now think about that, okay? What were they telling Jesus that he couldn't do? They were telling Jesus the same thing. Okay, you can't heal people. Not on the Sabbath. That's against the law. It's the same things just repeating throughout time, right? And so the quicker that we can catch ourselves and pull ourselves away from that, egotistical thinking, and just remember that we're all trying to understand the Most High from different perspectives. Then also understand that we all have the power to change our life to whatever we want. And oftentimes, utilizing that power requires us it helps us to invoke certain things, right? It's the same way that, some people practice different techniques to channel their power because it helps remind them that they are God. Okay? It's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, we're all on this path together. Okay? So I'll end it with that. Of course, this lecture is all on YouTube. Always on YouTube. Don't delete any of them. So the lecture will be on YouTube. The document will be on YouTube. I would do Q&A today, but got to jump off, man. But if y'all have any questions, man, please feel free to DM me. You have any topics you want me to discuss, please feel free to DM me. And then you can download the document and do whatever. So we'll end it with a prayer and some affirmations. And then I'll allow y'all to enjoy this beautiful Saturday, okay? All right, Heavenly Father, continue to remind us that you are within us, that all the love, all of the intimacy, all the worthiness, everything that we seek outside of us is always within us and ready to be tapped into. Continue to lead us to the desires of our heart. We know that the desires of our heart come from you. Infinite power desiring those things through us. And every person, every opportunity that is presented in our life is helping to move us closer to that ultimate promised land. Right? I also pray for anyone that's going through pain, going through heartbreak or loss, that you provide them with the peace that only you can provide. And you also remind them that the peace and the love that they are looking for is always within them and ready to be tapped into. All right, y'all. I see you all as divine, perfect, right? As prosperous, as beautiful, as worthy, okay? As perfect, as gods, as goddesses, as in alignment with everything that you desire. If you don't feel that way, it's cool, because I feel that way for you. I see you as that way anyway, so I know that it must be true. All right, continue to be beautiful, continue to be blessed. Please reach out if y'all need anything. I got new coaching packages that I'm doing right now until I get a little too booked up. But if y'all need any help, please reach out. But until next time, God willing, she'll talk to y'all later, man. Peace. Thank you. Oh, I didn't see these comments.